Transition to the NBA and the NBA Finals, specifically Game Threes tonight between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. And Game Threes are always one of the most critical games of a series because typically one team's either up 2-0 and have the opportunity to take a commanding 3-0 lead and essentially close the door on a series, or they're tied 1-1, and it's the pivotal third game that either allows the home team to kind of grab hold of all the momentum going into game four, or it allows the road team an opportunity to immediately retake home court advantage. And that's the situation that we have right here. And you would think that the Boston Celtics heading into this game three should be the likely favorites. Just played 2 road games. They're going to be returning home to a raucous TD Bank Garden in Boston. And yet, surprisingly and shockingly, the Boston Celtics have really struggled at home in this postseason. Again, they've lost 4 games of 9 total played at TD Garden. They've lost 4 of them. They've lost 4 games already. And when you look at 4 of those losses, 2 of them, or not those 4 losses at home necessarily, but in their last 2 series, they have lost Game 3, specifically in the last 2 series. Against Miami, they lost. It was the first game at home. Jimmy Butler didn't even play in the second half. That's when Bam Adebayo went off for over 30 points. And then versus Milwaukee, they barely lost 103-101. But the point was they lost both of those game threes in the last 2 series. Meanwhile, you switch over to the Warriors side, and they've won 2 of 3 game threes along their playoff run. The only one they lost was to the Dallas Mavericks on the road. And you could argue that there were some distractions along the way, not to take away anything from Dallas. But they won on the road at Denver, did the Warriors back in the first round in game 3. So for me, I think that the Warriors understand the magnitude of this moment. I think they're going to play with a greater sense of urgency, understanding the importance of not relinquishing any momentum, not allowing Boston to obviously not take a stranglehold, but really move themselves in position with a game 3 win to kind of take a commanding 3-1 lead after game 4. I think they understand that. And so I think the Warriors are ultimately going to win this game 3. I think it's going to be close, probably a score of like 111-105. I think that the Celtics will jump out to a quick start in the first quarter, probably lead 30-22, something like that in the first quarter. But then the Warriors will just continue to chip away, and they'll take the lead in the third quarter, and then they'll ultimately hold on to narrowly escape. I think Klay Thompson has a bounce-back performance. I think he scores 20-plus points tonight. And it's not just because of all these betting outlets setting his number at plus minus 19. But truthfully, I just think that I have too much respect for Klay Thompson and the work that he puts in, where I don't think he's going to have a big game on the road. I just refuse to accept it. I'm never going to bet against him, despite the fact that he is 2 years removed from major scarring injuries. I love the guy's work ethic. I think he's got really strong mental toughness. I think he'll bounce back. Now, here's the other thing to remember. For whatever reason, again, it's kind of inexplicable why this happens, but road teams, after they play 2 games on the road, when they come home for that first game, whether it's the playoffs, whether it's the finals, whether it's a regular season game, for whatever reason, they oftentimes struggle in the first half. They're kind of readjusting to their own home rims, to their crowd, which seems to be kind of the antithesis of what should happen. You would think that they would get off on the ground running, and yet that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the home team struggles when they've come off 2 games on the road. So I don't think they're necessarily going to be shooting it particularly well in the first half, at least not in the second quarter. The first quarter they may. But I think the Warriors' shooting is going to prove to be too much. I think this time their backcourt will finally kind of come out together. I think all 3, Curry, Thompson, Poole will all shoot it. Will all shoot it well. I think 3-point shooting will save the day for the Warriors, and for the first time in this series, it will carry them. But I do think the Celtics will make some adjustments. I think they're finally going to flash Curry on those high pick and rolls. Those bigs are going to switch out onto him and close his airspace. And always nice when you get a phone call mid show. Apologize for that. I think someone wanted to call in to talk about the Celtics and the Warriors and what they thought and what they think's going to happen. So I do think that some of those adjustments are going to be made. I think, again, they're going to switch on those high pick and rolls for Curry. And I think Rob Williams, while he's not 100%, not anywhere close, I think he'll be a little bit more available. I think he'll play more extended minutes. I think he'll be a lot more effective at containing Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney had a field day in game 2. I don't think that's going to be the case in game 3. So there will be some adjustments made. But ultimately, I just like the Warriors in this third game. I think it's nip and tuck. It's wire to wire. But I think ultimately they retake the lead of the series 2-1.